During World War II, the United States created a secret military unit unlike anything seen before. This unit did not rely on heavy weapons or large armies. Instead, it used deception, illusion, and creativity to fool the enemy. It was known as the Ghost Army. Their mission was to trick Nazi Germany into believing that large Allied forces were present in certain locations, even when they were not. Using fake tanks, sound effects, and carefully planned movements, this small group of soldiers created the illusion of a massive army. German forces were misled, repositioned, and confused by these false signals. What made this unit so unique was that their weapons were not guns or bombs, but ideas and deception. The Ghost Army played a critical role in several operations, helping the Allies gain strategic advantages without direct combat. It was one of the most unusual and clever military strategies of the entire war. The Ghost Army was officially known as the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, a highly specialized unit of the United States Army. Unlike traditional soldiers, many of its members were artists, designers, and sound engineers. Their unique skills allowed them to create realistic illusions that could deceive enemy forces. They designed inflatable tanks, fake artillery, and dummy vehicles that looked real from a distance. They also used recorded sounds of moving troops and vehicles to create the illusion of large forces on the move. This combination of visual and audio deception made their operations extremely convincing. Despite being a relatively small unit, their impact on the battlefield was significant. They were able to mislead German forces and influence enemy decisions without direct confrontation. Their work required creativity, precision, and secrecy at every step. The success of the Ghost Army depended on how realistic their illusions appeared to the enemy. They carefully planned every detail to make their fake army look convincing from a distance. Inflatable tanks and vehicles were positioned in strategic locations where German reconnaissance planes could spot them. At the same time, loudspeakers were used to broadcast recorded sounds of tanks moving, soldiers talking, and equipment being transported. Fake radio messages were also transmitted to simulate real military communication. All of these elements worked together to create a complete illusion of a large army preparing for battle. German intelligence units often relied on visual observation and intercepted signals, making them vulnerable to this type of deception. As a result, German forces were often misled into making wrong decisions about troop movements and battlefield strategies. The Ghost Army proved that in war, deception could be just as powerful as direct combat. As the Ghost Army began its operations, their primary goal was to mislead German forces about the true strength and position of Allied troops. By placing fake equipment and creating false signals, they convinced the enemy that large armies were preparing for attack in specific areas. German commanders, relying on reconnaissance and intercepted communications, believed these illusions to be real. As a result, they moved their forces to counter threats that did not actually exist. This gave the real Allied units the advantage to operate elsewhere with less resistance. The Ghost Army successfully created confusion across the battlefield, forcing the enemy to make critical mistakes. Their deception not only saved lives, but also played a key role in weakening German defenses. It showed that controlling information and perception could be just as powerful as direct military force. The Ghost Army was active in several important operations across Europe during the later stages of World War II. One of their key roles was supporting Allied movements After the D-Day invasion, where they created false troop positions to protect real advancing forces by simulating large military units in different locations, they diverted German attention away from actual targets. This allowed Allied troops to move more safely and execute their plans with greater effectiveness. The Ghost Army continued to use its unique tactics throughout various missions, adapting its strategies depending on the situation. Their ability to quickly set up convincing illusions made them a valuable asset on the battlefield. Even though they rarely engaged in direct combat, their impact on the war was significant and far-reaching. Despite their unusual role, the Ghost Army faced real danger during their missions. They often operated close to enemy lines, where discovery could lead to immediate attack. If German forces realized the truth, the soldiers of the Ghost Army would be vulnerable with limited ability to defend themselves. This made secrecy extremely important. Every operation had to be carefully planned and executed without any mistakes. The soldiers had to maintain discipline and remain hidden while carrying out their deception tactics. Their success depended entirely on convincing the enemy that their illusions were real. Even a small error could expose the entire operation. Despite these risks, the Ghost Army continued to carry out its missions with remarkable success. Their courage and creativity allowed them to play a crucial role in the war without ever fighting in a traditional way. As the war in Europe progressed, the Ghost Army continued to play a crucial role in supporting Allied operations. Their ability to mislead German forces helped create opportunities for real attacks to succeed. By drawing enemy attention away from key locations, they allowed Allied troops to advance with less resistance. In several operations, their deception tactics directly influenced the outcome of battles. German commanders, unsure of where the real threat was coming from, were forced to spread their forces thin. This weakened their defenses and made them more vulnerable to actual Allied assaults. The Ghost Army's work may not have been visible on the front lines, but its impact was significant. Their creative strategies helped shift the balance of power and contributed to the eventual defeat of Nazi Germany. It proved that intelligence and deception could change the course of war. After World War II ended, the story of the Ghost Army remained a secret for many years. The details of their operations were classified, and their contributions were not publicly recognized. Many of the soldiers returned home without ever being able to talk about what they had done during the war. It was only decades later that the truth about the Ghost Army began to emerge. Documents were declassified, and historians started to uncover the role this unit had played in the war. As more information became available, people began to realize how important their work had been. The Ghost Army was no longer just a hidden unit. It became a recognized part of World War II history. Today, the Ghost Army is remembered as one of the most creative and unusual units of World War II. Their ability to use deception instead of direct combat set them apart from traditional military forces. They showed that war was not only about strength and firepower, but also about intelligence and strategy. The legacy of the Ghost Army continues to inspire modern military tactics, where deception and psychological operations remain important tools. Their story stands as a reminder that even a small group of people can have a powerful impact when they think differently. What they achieved during the war was not just about tricking the enemy. It was about saving lives and helping bring the conflict to an end. The Ghost Army proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon in war is not a gun, but an idea.